Detectives, and welcome to our first video of week 5 of your home learning. Now this week I thought we'd do something a little bit different before we go any further, because I just wanted to do a recap week to consolidate what you've learnt over the past 4 weeks. So if you remember, we have looked at the book Cuddly Dudley, we've looked at the other goose, Goose in a Hole, and the crocodile under the bed. And associated with this books, we've covered a lot of different activities, including punctuation, adjectives, plurals. We've looked at some vocab boosters, and we've done a lot of research on both geese and penguins and the life and work of Judith Carr. So you've been very busy, and I just wanted to go over some of the things that we've learned just to make sure that we are all fully understanding where we're at. So for this week, the worksheets that I have prepared are connected and linked to these 4 stories. And because story detectives wouldn't be story detectives without a story, I've also read 2 stories for you, which will be following these videos. And they are just for fun. I'd just like you to sit and listen, see if you can learn some new words, and see if you can look at some of the themes and some of the images and so on the 2 books that I will read to you later. So let's have a quick look at the worksheet for this week. I've just explained here what we're doing to recap some of the information that we've learned. And then we have some worksheets for you. We've got a vocab booster. I say you'll all be pretty familiar with these. And I've listed here the words of the week from the past 4 weeks and a few other words that we'd focused on. So we have resist, which was the word of the week from Cuddly Dudley. Worried, which was from the Goose in the Hole. Special, which was from the crocodile under the bed. And sad, which was from the other goose. Also the word disturbed, which was also from Cuddly Dudley. And session, also from Cuddly Dudley. And mare, which was from both of the goose books. So look at those words there and see if you can link them up to the description on this side. I will give you a clue. So the word resist, we had that with the Cuddly Dudley story when people couldn't resist giving him a cuddle. So can you remember what it meant? It actually means to stop yourself from doing something that you want to do. So just draw a line to connect the word to the meaning. And then we are just going to recap our information about adjectives. We looked at this when we had looked at the other goose. And I just wanted to see if you could remember which words were adjectives. As we said, they are the words that describe a noun. They're the words that make a noun more interesting, and they help to help our imaginations to really picture the scene. So there's a little passage here. It's not from one of the books, but it's actually about Goose in a Hole. And I'll just read it with you. It says, "When the water in the pretty pond runs away down a big hole, Katerina the clever goose makes a sensible decision to follow the water underground. Her actions lead her young family into an exciting adventure." So what I'd like you to do there is circle any adjectives that you can find. I shall give you a clue to the first one. Look at the word pond. If you've got the word pond there, that is the noun. But pretty is the word here, the adjective that's describing the pond. So I would circle that word pretty. One of the ways that you can check if you've chosen an adjective or not is if you take that adjective away, the sentence will actually still make sense. So let's take the word pretty away and see how the sentence sounds. When the water in the pond runs away down a big hole, yep, that still makes sense. So you don't actually need the adjective, that's just to make it sound better. And that's one way you can check whether you're using an adjective, whether you've circled an adjective or not. Okay, then our next page is about plurals. This is something that we did when we were looking at the Goose in the Hole and the crocodile under the bed. And plurals are when you make a word go from one of something. So for example, we had Cuddly Dudley was one penguin, but when we added all his brothers and sisters into the mix, we had lots and lots of penguins. So the word penguin, we add an S to make penguins. Whereas when we had the Goose in the Hole story, we just had one goose, but at the end we actually had several geese. We don't say gooses, we say geese. So let's have a look at some of these plurals. There were some rules that we talked about on the other videos and associated with the other books. So you can always look back at those if you need a refresher. But we've got the words goose, wife, party, volcano, guess, march, box and tomato. And I will give you a clue from the start. None of these words, well actually no, one of these words you can, but most of these words you cannot just add an S. You have to do something else to make them plural. So see if you can remember what you have to do to make those words plural. Then we're going to have a quick recap about punctuation. I've written some sentences here from the stories, and I've taken away some of the punctuation, but not all of it. So see if you can work out what's missing. Now you don't need to rewrite these sentences from scratch. You can just underline any of the mistakes and write the answer up of the top. So I shall give you an example. Here we have, where's all the water? Now that looks pretty much okay. Can you spot the thing that's wrong with this sentence? Well, look at this. Our first letter should always be a capital letter. So to correct this, I'm just going to cross out that lowercase w and write an uppercase W above it. So that's all you need to do. You don't need to rewrite the whole sentence. So have a go at doing those. And then we've got a comprehension quiz to see how much you can remember about the stories that we have covered. So if you need to watch the videos again of the stories to refresh your memory, you can still do that. They should still be on the YouTube channel. So, for example, this first question says, what was the name of the young girl in The Other Goose and Goose in a Hole? Well, if we have a look, here's our Goose in a Hole story. Let's have a look in here. And we find here, it was the young girl who realised that Katerina the goose was looking at her reflection in the car because she was lonely. And that little girl was the bank manager's daughter, and her name was Millie Buswell. So we would just have to write Millie Buswell here, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to make it into a full sentence. I'm happy with note form. I just want to see if you've understood some of the aspects of the story. So there's 8 questions there. And then we've got another quiz about the research that you did. You did some fabulous research for me about penguins, geese, and the life of work of Judith Carr. So let's just see what you can remember of that. I'll give you an example. The first question here says, can penguins fly? And I'm sure you know but from your research that no, they can't fly. So you just need to write no there. They can swim beautifully. They can even walk sort of awkwardly and waddle on land, but they certainly can't fly. So see if you can remember the research questions from the quiz. And then I'd like you to have a think about the 4 stories that we did and see if you can tell me which one is your favourite. So what I'd like you to do, you can either just circle the one that you think is your favourite, or if you're in the red group, I'd like you to write a sentence about which book is your favourite and why. And then I've left some space here for you to draw a picture from your favourite book. You can either draw a picture of your favourite character or maybe a scene from one of your favourite books. So have a little think and try and see if you can think why you liked any particular book better than another one. And now some fun activities that I particularly like our purple students to do, but of course anybody can do these because they're good to help with your handwriting and your fine motor skills, and they're fun to do. But if you're in the purple group, these are the activities over the next few pages that I'd like you to focus on. So on this one, we've just got some words that we've had from our recent stories and some pictures. So see if you can connect the word to the picture. So have a look if you can do that. You just need to draw a line from the word to connect it to the correct picture. So that's helping you with your reading, and here we'll have a little bit of help with your handwriting. See if you can copy the word crocodile here for me. And first of all trace it over here where we've got the dotted lines, and then see if you can write it yourself, and then you can colour that picture in if you like. And of course we have penguin, the same thing, just practice your handwriting. And the word goose, as I say, you can colour these in as well, which is all good practice for your fine motor skills. And then on this page here we have a spot the difference. Now these are really good fun, we've done these before, but they're actually, as well as being good fun, they're actually very important, because when we get further up the school we'll do things like comparing and contrasting, and this is our first step really to comparing and contrasting things. So for example, when we looked at The Other Goose, in those worksheets we looked at how we could compare and contrast the personalities of Katerina the goose and Cuddly Dudley, and we looked at different aspects of their personalities that were similar and which were other aspects that were different. And then we did the same thing when we compared geese and penguins, when we used that Venn diagram. So that's what we eventually end up doing further up the school when we start to compare and contrast different books and stories or different concepts and ideas. But the first step of doing that is just to look at something and look at the differences. So have a look at these two pictures. On first glance, they certainly look the same to me, but if you look more closely, you will see that there are differences. So see if you can circle. I think there were 6 differences in there. It might have been 8. See if you can tell me how many differences you can find. And then we have a word search, which is a super way to practice your reading, and it's a great way to focus on your spelling as well, because when you're looking for the words, you really have to focus on the letters. So it helps you to consolidate how to spell the words as well. So have a look at that one. And you can do this colouring if you like, if you still have time. And finally, a maze. We had a story about a birthday last week, so this is just a birthday hat maze. And these are very good for your fine pencil, for your fine motor skills and your pencil control. And also they're good for problem solving. So see if you can have a go at these. As I say every week, you do not need to do all the pages. If you're in the red group and you want to challenge yourself, then I'd like to see you do as many as you can. But you don't need to do them all. If you want to do 3 or 4 and just give it a good shot, then please do that. And on the next video, I will explain the answers to the questions. And then the following 2 videos after that are simply me reading a story to you. There's 2 books that I've chosen.